Welcome to today's exploration of power, strategy, and the brutal truths of human behavior. Our title says it all. Stop being kind, choose power. Machiavelli's Ruthless. Lessons. This is not a gentle invitation to embrace kindness or forgiveness. Instead, it is a hard look at reality through the eyes of Niccolò Machiavelli, the Renaissance thinker whose name has become synonymous with cunning, manipulation, and political survival. Machiavelli forces us to confront a truth that many of us secretly know but refuse to admit. Kindness alone rarely wins battles, builds empires, or secures respect. Power does, and power often requires ruthless choices. In this video, we will break down Machiavelli's philosophy into 7 parts, showing you exactly why kindness without strength is a weakness, how power is gained and lost, and what it really means to live with a Machiavellian mindset. If you've ever wondered why nice people get overlooked, ignored, or even crushed, this lesson will open your eyes. If you've ever asked yourself why ruthless leaders rise while good-hearted individuals fade into the background, you'll find your answers here. So sit back, clear your mind, and prepare to be challenged. Because once you learn these lessons, you'll never see kindness, power, or human behavior the same way again. Part 1. The Illusion of Kindness. From childhood, we are told that kindness is the highest virtue. Parents, teachers, and society encourage us to be polite, to share, to forgive, and to turn the other cheek. But beneath this cultural training lies a contradiction. The world we live in does not always reward kindness. In fact, it often punishes it. Machiavelli observed this in his time as a statesman in Renaissance Florence, a city torn apart by political intrigue, betrayal, and constant power struggles. He saw rulers who tried to govern with fairness and compassion lose their thrones, their armies, and sometimes even their lives. He saw how generosity could be mistaken for weakness, and how mercy could invite rebellion. In The Prince, his most famous work, Machiavelli does not say kindness is worthless. Instead, he warns that kindness without control, without authority, without the strength to back it up, is dangerous. To be kind without power is to hand your enemies a weapon. It is to make yourself vulnerable in a world where most people are not guided by virtue, but by self-interest. Think about the workplace. The kind, agreeable employee who always says yes is often overlooked for promotions, while the assertive, strategic worker who knows when to say no is seen as leadership material. In relationships, the overly kind partner can be taken for granted, while the one who balances affection with firm boundaries earns respect. This is what Machiavelli forces us to confront. Kindness is an illusion of strength unless it is paired with authority. Without power, kindness does not protect you. It exposes you. And those who wish to climb higher in life must learn this truth early. Stop being kind when kindness makes you weak. Part 2. Why power matters more than goodness. If kindness cannot stand alone, what takes its place? Machiavelli's answer is simple: power. Power is not about cruelty for its own sake, nor is it about destroying others needlessly. Instead, power is the ability to command respect, to influence others, and to secure your position in a world that is unpredictable and often hostile. For Machiavelli, power is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without it, even the best intentions collapse. Consider a leader who is deeply moral but powerless. They may inspire loyalty in a few, but when enemies arrive, when threats emerge, when resources run out, morality alone will not save them. History is filled with such figures, rulers who wanted to do good but were overthrown because they lacked the ruthlessness to protect their vision. Now contrast that with leaders who understood the necessity of power. Julius Caesar in ancient Rome, Napoleon Bonaparte in France, or even modern figures who rose from obscurity to dominance. They were not celebrated for being kind. They were celebrated for being strong, decisive, and willing to make difficult, even ruthless choices when the situation demanded it. Machiavelli tells us bluntly, it is better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both, love is fragile. It fades when circumstances change, when emotions shift, when loyalty is tested. Fear, on the other hand, is reliable. Fear makes people think twice before betraying you. Fear keeps them loyal even when their hearts are not. This does not mean cruelty without strategy. Machiavelli warns against unnecessary violence or chaos, but he insists that power, not goodness, is what keeps leaders in control. A reputation for kindness may win temporary affection, but a reputation for strength ensures long-term survival. In our own lives, this lesson is just as relevant. If you are endlessly kind without authority, people may like you, but they will not follow you. If you build strength, assert control, and balance your kindness with boundaries, people will respect you. And respect, not affection, is the foundation of influence. So, when Machiavelli says choose power, he is not telling you to abandon humanity. He is telling you to recognize the reality of the world. Goodness without strength is invisible, powerless, and often crushed. But strength, even without kindness, creates a foundation upon which greatness can be built. Part 3. The Trap of Being Loved. Machiavelli's most controversial claim that it is safer to be feared than loved continues to shock modern audiences. We are taught that love conquers all, that people will follow those who inspire loyalty through affection and kindness. But Machiavelli turns this idea upside down. He argues that love is fleeting. People love you when it is convenient. They love you when they benefit from your generosity, when your kindness serves their needs. But the moment circumstances shift, the moment loyalty comes at a cost, love disappears like smoke in the wind. A ruler or any individual who relies on love alone will find themselves abandoned in their greatest hour of need. Fear, however, has a different psychology. Fear is rooted in self-preservation, and self-preservation is the most consistent force in human nature. If people fear the consequences of betraying you, they are far less likely to turn against you, even when tempted by opportunity. Machiavelli is not romanticizing cruelty here. He is pointing to a cold reality. Love may inspire passion, but fear inspires reliability. Think about modern relationships, workplaces, or even politics. A manager who is too nice often becomes a doormat. Their employees may like them, but deadlines are missed. Discipline vanishes and respect erodes. Compare that with a manager who enforces rules firmly. People may not love them, but they respect their authority. Work gets done, order is maintained, and boundaries are clear. Machiavelli knew that human beings are selfish creatures. They admire kindness, but they exploit it when possible. They respect power because it forces them to. To fall into the trap of being loved without being feared is to hand others control over your fate. And for Machiavelli, surrendering control is the most dangerous mistake of all. Part 4. Controlled Ruthlessness, the Art of Necessary Cruelty. At this point, you might think Machiavelli was advocating for tyranny, endless cruelty, and merciless domination. But here is where his thinking becomes more subtle. He was not a sadist. He was a realist. He did not encourage cruelty for its own sake. But he understood that cruelty, when applied strategically, could serve as a tool of stability. In The Prince, Machiavelli gives a clear warning. Cruelty should be swift, decisive, and controlled. Excessive or random violence creates hatred, and hatred leads to rebellion. But if a ruler, or a leader in any sphere, must commit harsh actions, they should do so in a way that secures authority without prolonging suffering. Imagine a new leader taking power in a divided nation. If they hesitate, if they try to win everyone over through kindness, rivals will exploit the uncertainty, chaos will spread, and the leader may be overthrown before their rule even begins. But if the leader acts decisively, crushing opposition quickly and establishing firm control, people will adapt, stability will return, and their power will endure. This is what Machiavelli means by controlled ruthlessness. Cruelty is dangerous when it is random, but when it is calculated, it can prevent greater bloodshed later. It is the difference between a surgeon making a painful but necessary cut to save a patient and a butcher slicing wildly without purpose. Applied to everyday life, this principle is about boundaries and consequences. If you let people walk over you, they will. If you discipline a child inconsistently, they will test your limits. If you allow colleagues to exploit your kindness, they will keep doing it. But if you set clear boundaries and enforce consequences firmly, people learn to respect your position. For Machiavelli, power is not about endless cruelty. It is about knowing when to act ruthlessly, when to stop, and how to maintain authority without letting emotions cloud judgment. Mercy without strength is weakness, but cruelty without purpose is destruction. The wise leader walks between them with precision. Part 5. Fortune, Power, and the Bold Risk-Taker. Another cornerstone of Machiavelli's philosophy is his concept of fortuna, fortune, luck, or the unpredictable forces of life. He believed that half of human success is determined by fortune, but the other half depends on our ability to act boldly and decisively. In other words, life is not fair. Circumstances beyond our control wars. Disasters, betrayals, opportunities shape our destinies. But while we cannot control fortune, we can control how we respond to it. And Machiavelli believed that fortune favors the bold. He compares fortune to a wild river. Sometimes it is calm, but when it floods, it destroys everything in its path. A wise ruler builds dams and defenses in advance, preparing for the inevitable chaos. Similarly, in our own lives, we cannot predict every challenge, but we can prepare by building strength, resources, and strategies before disaster strikes. Machiavelli also compares fortune to a woman, harsh, unpredictable, but most easily mastered by those who are bold, aggressive, and unafraid to take risks. Hesitation, he warns, leads to loss. Boldness creates opportunity. Consider entrepreneurs, leaders, or even ordinary people who make life-changing choices. Those who hesitate often lose their chance. Those who seize opportunities, even if risky, are more likely to succeed. Fortune punishes the timid, but rewards those who act with courage and strength. This lesson ties back to kindness and power. Kindness without boldness is often ignored, but boldness, even when harsh, commands respect. The world is not kind to those who wait passively for good fortune. It favors those who take decisive action, who prepare for chaos, and who do not let fear stop them from claiming power when the moment arrives. For Machiavelli, greatness is not given. It is taken through preparation, courage, and ruthless decisiveness when opportunity knocks. Part 6. Appearance versus Reality, the Mask of Power. One of Machiavelli's most fascinating lessons is about appearances. He understood that people judge not by truth but by what they see. Leaders are rarely evaluated on their actual intentions. They are judged by the image they project. Machiavelli warns that rulers, and by extension, all of us, must learn to wear masks. A leader does not need to be virtuous, but they must appear virtuous. They do not need to be merciful at all times, but they must display mercy when it serves their reputation. They do not need to be generous, but they must know when generosity can win support. The key here is balance. Too much transparency is dangerous. If people see all your flaws, all your doubts, all your weaknesses, they will exploit them. But if you control your image, if you project confidence, decisiveness, and strength, people will respect you even if behind the scenes you struggle with uncertainty. Think of modern politicians, CEOs, or influencers. Their personal lives may be chaotic, but their public image is carefully crafted. They appear strong, disciplined, and in control. And because people believe in that appearance, their influence grows. In our personal lives, this principle matters just as much. If you constantly display weakness, desperation, or insecurity, others will lose respect for you. But if you project calm authority even when struggling internally, you maintain influence. People follow what they see, not what is hidden. For Machiavelli, the wise leader is like an actor on stage. They understand the role they must play, and they play it convincingly. The mask of power protects them from scrutiny, gains them respect, and allows them to act ruthlessly behind the scenes when necessary. The lesson is clear. In a world ruled by perception, appearance often matters more than reality. Part 7. The Lion and the Fox, Mastering Duality. Perhaps Machiavelli's most famous metaphor is the comparison of rulers to animals, the lion and the fox. To survive and thrive in a dangerous world, he argued, a leader must embody both. The lion represents strength, courage, and the ability to intimidate enemies. Without the qualities of the lion, a leader cannot defend themselves against external threats. Power requires force. Power requires the capacity to strike fear, but strength alone is not enough. Lions may scare wolves, but they fall into traps. That is why a leader must also be like the fox, clever, cunning, and alert to danger. The fox avoids traps that the lion charges into blindly. The fox deceives enemies, navigates treachery, and turns situations to their advantage with intelligence rather than brute strength. Machiavelli tells us bluntly, Rulers who are only lions will be destroyed by cunning enemies. Rulers who are only foxes will be destroyed by brute force. To succeed, you must be both. Strong enough to command respect and clever enough to outwit rivals. This metaphor applies to every area of life. In business, the lion represents the ability to take bold action, to compete fiercely to defend your territory. The fox represents negotiation, strategy, and knowing how to outmaneuver competitors without direct confrontation. In relationships, the lion sets firm boundaries, while the fox manages conflicts with subtlety. Machiavelli's lesson is that true power is not one-dimensional. It requires duality. Those who embrace only kindness are defenseless. Those who embrace only cruelty invite rebellion. But those who master the art of being both lion and fox, ruthless when needed, cunning when necessary, become untouchable. Ending. The ruthless truth of Machiavelli. We have now walked through Machiavelli's ruthless lessons, the illusion of kindness, the supremacy of power, the trap of being loved, the necessity of controlled ruthlessness, the role of fortune and boldness, the power of appearances, and the duality of the lion and the fox. Together, these insights form a philosophy that continues to resonate 5 centuries after Machiavelli first put pen to paper. His ideas disturb us because they challenge our comfortable illusions. We want to believe the world rewards kindness, honesty, and virtue, and sometimes it does. But Machiavelli reminds us that without power, virtue is fragile. Without authority, kindness is exploited. Without strategy, generosity leads to ruin. This does not mean we must abandon all kindness or become monsters. It means we must understand the balance of power. We must learn when to be kind and when to be ruthless. We must recognize that love is fleeting but respect lasts. We must wear the mask when necessary, act boldly when fortune demands it, and master both the lion and the fox within us. If you take one lesson from Machiavelli, let it be this: stop relying on kindness to carry you through life. Kindness without strength will betray you. Power, strategy, and ruthless decisiveness will protect you. When you learn to balance both, you step into the realm of true influence. So as you leave this video, ask yourself in your own life, are you being too kind where you should be strong? Are you being too forgiving where you should set boundaries? Are you waiting for fortune or are you bold enough to seize it? Machiavelli's challenge to us is timeless. Stop being kind when kindness makes you weak. Choose power when survival demands it. And never forget, the world respects strength far more than it rewards virtue.